Everybody's sitting cut. Is anyone still out there? Barry, you in? Ladies and gentlemen, introduce myself first. My name's Johnny Leech. I'm the former Greenwich organiser of the British National Party. I'd really like to thank you all for coming here this evening. This is a follow-up of a series of meetings which have taken place throughout the country. There's been meetings in Newcastle, in Yorkshire, in the northwest of England, and also in the southeast region in Crawley only 2 weeks ago. Our meetings have been here to inform the members of the situation in the British National Party. There is a crisis in our party if you don't know it already, and we will examine what is wrong with the party and we will tell you how to put it right by the end of this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's rather ironic. Tomorrow is the royal wedding and the Queen's grandson goes to get married, but the year our Queen was born, in 1926, there was 4 Islamic mosques in Britain in 1926. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this year there is over 1,100 Islamic mosques in this nation. How is it then that our party is not flourishing in the political arena, in the main political arena? We should be dinosaurs in that arena. We shouldn't be made to mock at. Nick Griffin should be on the pedestal shouting our cause, not with silly remarks, with concrete political argument to change this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, in the second half of the meeting, Eddie Butler will address this meeting in the second half. In the second half of the meeting, we will have answers and questions from all of these people on the rostrum. Ladies and gentlemen, please, will you give a warm welcome to someone who's been a previously London regional organiser, someone who has lost his job for this cause in the past, ladies and gentlemen, took Searchlight to court at great expense, a real nationalist hero of long term, ladies and gentlemen. Please give a warm welcome to a local lad, in fact, don't come too far from here, do you, Chris? Chris Roberts, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Chairman, a great welcome. Thanks very much. It's always a pleasure to speak in South London. Being a South Londoner, I never get bored telling you that, but I'm sure you get bored me telling you that. I did a silly thing today. I looked on the forums, you know, the so-called nationalist forums, and you're going to read a lot about baggage. Apparently I've got Nazi baggage, which I hope I don't have to declare to Ryanair in a couple of weeks, because I hear that their excess baggage charges are even higher than Golding and Dowson's commissions. But you're going to hear a lot about baggage and you're going to read a lot about it. A lot of it will come from a lying communist thief called Jerry Gable. Jerry Gable will be no doubt blogging on Hope Not Hate and Searchlight and whatever about Richard Edmonds being convicted of a crime. But the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, that was a gross miscarriage of justice. Richard Edmonds was not guilty of that crime. And again, communists lined up in the court to perjure themselves to get Richard convicted. Others will talk about moderation, toning it down, on stances like immigration, for instance. But of course, the truth of the matter is, immigration has no legitimacy in this country whatsoever. Why does it have no legitimacy? Because the globalist international financiers who have lib, lab and con in their pockets, they never ever wanted to consult the British people about whether we wanted immigration. So we've never been asked, because they knew the answer, it would have been a resounding no. And not only have they caused unbelievable mass immigration, the criminal lib-lab-con gang, but they make you pay for it through your taxes. Now, I'm lucky enough to work in City Hall because of the efforts of many of you here and myself, and I see the amount of money that is spent on equalities, and it runs into the millions of pounds. The Transport for London Equalities booklet is 197 pages. That's the sort of thing, and it's hundreds of millions of pounds of your money that's being spent on on something that has no legitimacy in this country. And it's not immigration, is it, ladies and gentlemen? Because again, in City Hall, every day, more or less, classes of children come in to visit City Hall. My colleagues are here tonight, Tony Avery, who works there, and Tess Culnane worked at City Hall with me for a time. And when you see these classes of children, seriously, it's very rare to see more than 3 white kids in those classes. As I say, that is not immigration, that is ethnic cleansing on a gigantic scale. Absolutely. And I watched Marine Le Pen on the television because people say, well, moderation, the nationalists in Europe are doing much better than we are because of their moderate stance. And I watched Marine Le Pen last night, who's riding very high in the polls, or yesterday afternoon. And the interviewer said, are any of the immigrants in France French? And she said they can never be French, because to be French, you've had to have come there for hundreds of years. You had to buy in to the French culture, be part of the French culture. She was adamant they could never be French. So where's the moderation? And yet she's riding high in the polls. So this thing of baggage and moderation, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real red herring. It really is. I mean, for instance, has Tony Blair got no baggage for killing hundreds of thousands of Arabs in Iraq? Or recently David Cameron giving the nod to bomb Libyan civilians? Or even closer to home, Gerry Adams and Martin McGuinness, who blew people off the streets of London. A Canadian 10-year-old who was visiting the Tower of London many years ago lost his leg because of an IRA outrage. What about that sort of baggage, ladies and gentlemen? Yet they're now in Stormont, they're now MPs in the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah,
this baggage talk is a load of nonsense. Take it from me. What you might not hear, of course, as this leadership challenge gathers pace in the weeks ahead, you might not hear about sacrifice. I met Richard Edmonds in 1976 when I first joined the National Front as a 16-year-old. And I helped Richard in a by-election in Deptford. We were out leafleting most days. And it's ironic that the nationalist cause at that time was split with a party, I think it was called the National Party of the United Kingdom and the National Front. And the combined nationalist vote in Deptford would have won the ward in 1976. Well, you try leafleting or canvassing in Deptford today. Sure. Richard Edmonds has made a lot of sacrifices for this cause, a lot of sacrifices. In 1974 he was a teacher in Tulse Hill and stood as a general election candidate, I believe, for the National Front. And took a lot of stick from the media, obviously, but stuck to his guns. Richard Edmonds could easily have had a glittering career in business and commerce, but he stood by the cause, worked hard always for the cause. He's a founder member of the British National Party, used his own money to fund the shop in Welling, on the front line every day, every single day on the front line for this cause. That shop in Welling, little antidote here, when Richard moved into it, it had no hot water to do the washing up. Didn't have a shower. How do I know that? Because my brother Barry, who's also a founder member of the British National Party, and my father went down and put a shower in.
That's right, very true.
And when Richard kept refusing to have this hot water put in to wash the dishes and stuff, he went down the CAF one day and Barry decided to wire up this electric heater for him. These are hardships, ladies and gentlemen, that this man has put himself through. How many other people, so-called nationalists in this movement, have ever done that? Richard Edmonds took all these hardships, but he still continues today to be out there leafleting and canvassing. His indefatigable spirit should be an inspiration to us all. His humility, a force for healing the deep wounds that are in this party. His experience of running the British National Party would mean that our party would have a safe pair of hands as we try to bring it back on an even keel. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell Richard Edmonds now, I don't know what your plans are for a team, but I'm personally putting myself at your disposal, and any help I can give you, let me know.
Thanks very much, Chris. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy the meeting.
Thanks very much.